Hello everybody. Sorry, gnat in my face. This is Becky. Hello. Here at Aunt Beck's Creations. We're at the little cottage. I'm out here by the fig tree. I'm going to check and see before this rain comes in and see if there's any figs that need to be picked. You really want them to be real full and kind of droopy. So let me see if I can find any that are close. Oh, here's one. So there's a fig. I hope you can see it. Oops, there we go. There's a fig. And I'm just gonna, there won't be too many, so I'm just gonna put them in this Tupperware, and when I'm done picking, I'll show you what I end up with. Alright, so I didn't get very many. I'll put these in the fridge, and Scott can have them for breakfast tomorrow. He'll just eat them just like this. And the main reason I'm coming on to show you how I picked them is I'm going to share a recipe I found online. I'll put a link to the recipe in the description box, but we're going to make homemade fig Newtons. I'm not going to show you every single step because you can just go and get the recipe, but I'll tell you what I did, okay? So let's go inside and make some fig Newtons. Okay, the first thing you want to do when you bring your figs in is you want to rinse them real good under running water and then lay them out on a towel to dry. And once they're dry, then you're going to take the stems off, the part that's hard here at the end, and then you're going to cut them into fours. And then you put them in a saucepan with the first few ingredients that she lists in her recipe, and you bring it to over medium-high heat, if I remember right. You want it to just bubble. You don't want it to start bubbling and then bubble over. Once it bubbles a little bit, you turn your heat way down and you simmer it, the figs, in their sugar and other ingredients. You do that for 45 to 50 minutes. Then you will end up with kind of a jam consistency, she said, and here's mine. And you can make the fig part of it up to 3 days ahead and put it in the refrigerator, and that's what I did yesterday. Is I cooked the figs down to this consistency. Okay, so the next step is to mix up the cookie, the shortbread type stuff that goes, you know, around the fig filling. So we'll do that next. All right, let's start on the cookie bread, kind of whatever you want to call this batter. She's calling it a cookie crust. If you want to get the recipe, her blog is Sugar Dish Me. So it's spelled out exactly like that. SUGARDISHME. Okay? And you can look her up. SugarDishMe.com. That's where I got the recipe. Alright, so let's, she's got lots of instructions. I do not have an orange here to get orange zest. She does call for a tablespoon of orange zest. I'm going to leave it out because I don't have oranges. I could put lime in it. I have limes, but I don't think that would taste very good. So we're going to skip the zest and the cookie part. There's lemon zest in the filling, so I'm just going to go with that. Alright, so she says preheat the oven, but I'm going to hold on that for just a minute. But we're to butter a 9x13 baking dish, line with parchment paper or foil, and then butter the parchment or foil. Use plenty of butter. Alright, so let's prepare the pan first. I'm going to show you the pan I'm going to use. I don't even know what size this is. This is the pan I'm using. It's really more of a casserole dish. It's what I have. So use what you have. I don't have parchment paper, but I have aluminum foil. Okay. I'm wondering if I should go all the way up the side or just, oh, I don't know. I think my cookies are going to be kind of huge. So I'm going to put this in here. And then she says, use plenty of butter. Now, the cookies call for 3/4 of a cup of butter. So I need half a stick more for that. It's supposed to be at room temperature, so I pulled the butter and the eggs out. So I'm just going to cut this in half. That'll give me the 3/4 I need for the cookie batter, and this I'll use to butter with. And I'm just going to keep the wrapper on it and just try to butter this. Ooh. It's good she said use plenty of butter because, man, in my previous life at my house, I have baking pans of all shapes and sizes, but they're either in the cabinets down at the house that we own, or I've already boxed them up and they're in the storage unit. So I'm using what I have here. If I remember right, I bought this pan at Family Dollar. And it's mine. From the way it sounds, it's gonna be, it's very sticky to get out. So she says don't skimp on the butter. So I've buttered the daylights out of that. All right, I'm gonna set that off to the side over here. I don't know if this is gonna work, but we're gonna find out. All right, let's mix up the cookies. Now she says to stir the stuff together. I always just sift stuff. So what are we sifting together? Flours, baking powder, and salt. Flours, baking powder, and salt. And the sugar and the vanilla will get dealt with the butter. All right, so all-purpose flour, 1.5 cups. Okay. Alright, so there's a cup. And 1/2. Alright, we'll get that out of our way. Put it back in the cabinet. And then the whole wheat flour, we want 1 cup of it. I'm just going to use the 1/2 cup measure. It's easier to get in the bag. There's 1/2. Because 1/2 and 1/2 equals 1 whole. 1 whole cup. Math lesson for today. Alright. And we can put that up in the cabinet. Alright. Then baking powder is a teaspoon of baking powder. Looks like baking powder needs to go on the list. Baking powder and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. 1/2 teaspoon. So we're only going to fill this up halfway. That looks good. Alright. And then I'll just sift it together instead of stir it together. How about that? We'll keep all those hard bits out of there. My grandmother would just keep working and working until she used every bit of that. Okay, so that's the dry ingredients. Good to go. Tippy, do not jump up here. All right. So in here, oh boy, it's hot in here. All right, let's see. Hold up. In a large bowl, beat the butter and 1.5 cups of sugar until it's fluffy. Fluffy, people, fluffy. Tippy, go lay down. Go lay down. And 1.5 cups of the sugar. Is it packed brown sugar? Just says 1.5 cups of brown sugar. These are not low carb cookies. I tell you that. Because this is 1.5 cups of brown sugar here, and then I used 1/2 cup of brown sugar into the figs. So we'll have to dole these out like one a day or something. All right. I'm just gonna turn the camera off to beat this so that y'all don't have to listen to a beater, because I've got to beat it until it's light and fluffy. Be back shortly. Okay, it's light and fluffy. Now you're supposed to add the orange zest and the 2 eggs. So I got the 2 eggs beat in here. Well, I didn't beat them. They're going to get beat up now. And beat on a medium until the dough comes together, and then stir in the vanilla. All right. So get our eggs incorporated. All right. Now I'm going to measure in the vanilla, and we'll be right back. All right, I've just put the vanilla in. We're going to it says to stir it in, but I just got this on low. Now it says that this batter will be very sticky. I'm going to try to put this on as low as I can, and then start incorporating. I miss my KitchenAid mixer right now. So this little wimp thing probably is not going to do this sticky. So I'm going to do it with the mixer as long as I can. But this is not a workhorse like my KitchenAid, which is down at the house because there's just no space for it here. My battery's getting low too, so I don't know how much we'll get on here. But I will have the recipe in the description box. Well, not the recipe. I'll have a link to her blog. It's getting really hard to do. Probably asking this mixer to an awful lot to work this in, but we'll see. Now, we'll just come up and get it all off the beaters here. And I will scrape that out. And I'll just keep stirring until this flour is all incorporated. And then on these instructions, after I get that all mixed up, butter 2 pan size, whatever your pan size. They want me to butter 2 pan size pieces of foil or parchment. Measure 1.5 cups of the dough out and roll or press the dough in between the pieces. This will be your top crust. I think I'm going to use waxed paper and the butter because I think it'll be easier to peel off than parchment or foil. Put that rectangular-ish shaped thing into the freezer and then press the remaining dough into your prepared baking dish and bake for 20 minutes. So while half of it is baking for 20 minutes, the other half will be freezing in the freezer. And then I'm gonna, when it comes out, I'm supposed to spread the fig filling across the baked crust and then get the top crust out of the freezer. Gently peel the foil or paper away from the frozen cookie crust and place it over the top of your fig filling. So we'll see if we get this handled. Okay, let's see. I have put a piece of wax paper, and see, it's kind of the same size if I stay within the butter range. Because what you're going to do is you're going to put half of it on here and freeze it, and then this other half will bake, and then this piece has to lay on top of what's in there. So that's going to be the tricky bit. So let's see if I can do this. If I had the proper pans and all, this wouldn't be quite the ordeal. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to eyeball kind of what I think is 1.5 cups. So I would say that's about 1/2 cup. So 3 of them, that's what I need. So there's 1. There's 2. It is quite sticky. So we're going to say that's about 1.5 cups. It might be a little bit more. And then they say to spread it out to about the size of your pan. She said use plenty of butter. Just using my spatula here. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Only one way to find out, huh? Okay. So now if we take this piece, lay it on top of that piece, I don't know. I've never made homemade fig Newtons before, so this should be interesting. Let's see here. That seems about right. All right, I'm gonna put this in my freezer just like this. Let that freeze. And then the rest of this mess we're gonna put in here and smooth it out. I think I should have put a little bit more, but that's all right. So my layers might not be pristine or anything. But I said, hey, we got a fig tree. We like fig Newtons. No point in letting the figs go to waste, correct? Just when I think I got it all. My grandmother would have loved these spatulas like this. All right. The reason I mention my grandmother is I grew up with her, and I know her frugality. She wouldn't have let any of this go to waste. With her gardening abilities and living on the farm, we lived on $300 a month growing up. So frugality is something I know. So I'm going to smoosh this out here. That foil wants to slide all around in this thing. I don't know. Might be easier just to go buy them, huh? Do you know what? I bet these will taste different. I bet these will taste better. I'm wondering if the back of a metal spoon might be easier. Probably if I'd buttered it. She did say don't go skimpy on the butter, didn't she? That's what it says so on her website. She's gonna probably watch this video and go, girl, what are you doing to my recipe? I'm trying it. That's what I'm doing. All right. I'm gonna put this in the oven when it gets to temperature. I don't know if this is good or not. And bake it 20 minutes. It doesn't say to cool or anything. It just says once you've cooked it for the 20 minutes, put the filling on top. But I do know the filling has to be cool. Mine's plenty cool. It's been in the fridge. Before you do this. I did pull my filling out so it'll be at room temperature, you know, when this is ready. And we'll come back when we're getting ready to put the fig filling in it. All right, here we are. I just pulled it out. It said it would be a pretty golden brown. It is on the edges. And so I'm gonna put the figs on it, and I hope that it doesn't disintegrate it. I'm thinking my fig mixture probably could have cooked another 5 to 10 minutes because it says jam-like, but this is pretty thick. You're supposed to break up all the big pieces, but you know what? We're just gonna go with it. And I'm just gonna put my fig mixture on here. The real thing that's got me thinking is, how am I gonna put that piece of frozen dough on here? I did use more figs than her recipe said. I used what I had, which was, if I remember, I counted it and it was like over 20 instead of 16. So, you know. But I figured, hey, another reason I brought this out to get to room temperatures, I did not want to put ice cold stuff in here in this hot pan. And I'm trying to keep the figs away from the sides a good bit. This'll be interesting. Don't know if it's gonna work, because I really do think I should have cooked those figs longer yesterday. Because I think you want the figs to be more like a jam, real thick jam. All right, now the fun part. Can we get our lid put on here? The other half of the sandwich. All right. So here's this. Peel this off from here. Ooh, it might work really well. And if I bring this up like this, ooh, that pan is a little on the warm side. And we'll peel this off. Ooh, I did pretty good at matching that up, huh? All right, so now I have to bake it for another 20 to 25 minutes, and it says to watch it closely. The top will turn a nice golden color. All right, so let's slide this in, and I'm gonna bake it, and I did pretty good. So we'll see if it turns out. See you in about 30 minutes. I've already baked it quite a bit longer than what she says to, and it's still feeling a little too, I don't know. It's getting there. I'm gonna put it back in the oven for like another 5 minutes at the most, and then you're supposed to just let it completely cool and then lift it out with the foil after it's cool and cut it into bars. So I'll come back after I get it out, it's cooled, and we're about to cut it. Okay, I watched it and it was in for about 4 minutes, and see, now it doesn't give quite as much. I'm gonna let that be it because it is a nice golden brown. The pan size you're supposed to use is a 9 by 13, and this is nowhere near that. So mine are gonna be considerably thicker than a Fig Newton cookie, but I think they're gonna taste good because it smells really good. So now it's a wait, because I have to wait for it to completely cool before I remove it from the pan, and we'll come back when we're chopping them up. All right, we've reached that moment of truth. Let's see if I can get it out of here. Next time I need to use bigger piece of foil, I think. And we need to cut along there. It is sticking right here. All right, let's see. I'm wondering if the filling's all gonna fall out on me, since my cookies are like way bigger. Let's see. What does it taste like? Oh. Okay. They're pretty good. The real test will come when Scott gets to try them. So, I'm going to cut them into bars somehow and put them in here. Bernadette just hit the pole because she's nosy. Bigger knife might help. They are very sweet. Very, very sweet. So if you're not diabetic, these would be okay. If you are, you might want to stay away from these. But they do taste remarkably Fig Newton-y. I'm hoping it's cooked, to be honest, because it's looking a little doughy, but then my fig stuff is pretty runny. It might work better too with the parchment paper. See, I don't think this cooked the top. Look at that. So stick with the size of the pan she recommends, because Bernadette, come here. I don't know if that'll hurt you or not, but I think my thicker pan has caused problems. Because I think the bottom crust, although I don't know, this could just be gooiness from the figs. So I'm going to say this is kind of a fail, because it doesn't seem to have cooked the top part of it. I'll see if I can pick one up whole and show you guys. So if I made these again, I would make sure to cook the figs longer so that they reduce down more. And I would use the size of pan she recommends, the 9 by 13. Because see, the bottom is way cooked, but I don't know what to think about the top piece. Maybe after I put them in the fridge for a while. Because see, that's what I ended up with. Ooey gooey fig bars instead of Fig Newtons. I'll give it another go. I do think part of my problem is the figs were not reduced enough. So make sure you reduce them to a real thick jam consistency. And use the pan size. Because I think the fig part really messed up how the top would cook. Because you can't even see any separation of where the figs are. You can taste them in there, but I think they kept the top layer from cooking. That one's the closest to a fig bar look that I've come across so far. So I will try these again, but see, now that is like gooey. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to put a layer of wax paper between here. That one's the came closest to matching what it would look like. I had it on the temperature that she had on the recipe, so I'm not sure. If anybody has any hints. I know. Use the size pan, she said. I know. So thanks for hanging with me as I attempt to make homemade fig Newtons. And I will try them again. So thanks for watching, guys. Bye now.